Hey guys, welcome back to season 6 of Sister Sister, a podcast for spiritual baddies. We're your hosts, Elna Maya, and here we are in 2026, season 6.
I
Wait,
like
that's
that.
actually T. I didn't even think about that until now. But how are you, Elle? How have you been?
I'm good, just been working. I feel like that's we're both in our working girl eras right now. My boyfriend completely works with me full time now, so we're both running Chaotic Crystal Chick Co., doing lots of live sales, prepping for Ren Fair season, all of those kinds of crazy and fun things. I am doing some social media work for a small pirate festival currently, so that's been a lot of fun. But other than that, it's just been working, getting ready for my garden, which by the time this airs, hopefully my garden will be in full swing. If you know, in Pennsylvania, you got to wait until after the May full moon, and we happen to have two in May, which is when we started recording. So I got to wait until the beginning of June. But that's pretty much all I've got going on is work and garden prep. So what's going on with you, Amaya?
Working. What else? I'm looking forward to some vacation this summer. So by the time the season airs, we will already have been in full recording mode already and getting stuff live for you guys. What else? Hopefully, some opportunities on the side. I definitely would love to do some freelance work as well. So fingers crossed that goes through. And then, yeah, just my boyfriend and I living the dream pretty much as best as we can in this current economy. No shade, no tea there. Just, it is what it is. But season 6, we're so excited. This season is going to be a little bit longer. What is one takeaway we can give this season, L, without giving too much?
I think that this is probably going to be our most educational, but also our most fun season we've done. We're doing it longer because we typically do two seasons a year, but that just is not possible with our schedules currently. So we decided to do one long one. But I think this is definitely going to be the most educational, but also the most fun season. There's a lot of really good episodes that we're going to have coming out, which we're starting with a really fun one. So.
Yeah, so we could just get right into it, but this episode will be about the seven wonders of the world and their spiritual significance. So, Elle, take it away.
Individually, the seven wonders of the ancient world can be regarded as astounding architectural achievements or marvels of human imagination and engineering. So, if you aren't familiar with the seven wonders, we're going to go through all of them and then also talk about their spiritual significance. So, what are the seven wonders of the world? They consist of a pyramid, a mausoleum, a temple, two statues, a lighthouse, a near mythical garden, the Great Pyramid of Giza, the mausoleum of Halicarnassus, the temple of Artemis, the statue of Zeus, the Colossus of Rhodes, the lighthouse of Alexandria, and the hanging gardens of Babylon. Despite only being a short-lived collection, the last to be completed, the Colossus of Rhodes stood for less than 60 years, and one of them, the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, possibly not existing at all, the wonders continue to capture imaginations and drive archaeologists and treasure hunters. They laid the foundations for what humans could achieve. Yet, for all their fame, there are many questions surrounding these classical creations. Who decided what constituted a wonder in the first place? As Greek travelers explored the conquests of other civilizations, such as the Egyptians, Persians, and Babylonians, they compiled early guidebooks of the most remarkable things to see, meant as recommendations for future tourists, which is why the Seven Wonders are all around the Mediterranean rim. They called the landmarks that bewildered and inspired them themata, which is sights. But this soon evolved to the grander name of Thaumatta Wonders.
Okay, so Now we're going to talk about the history of the seven original wonders, and then we're going to go into the new seven wonders of the world. So lots to come. So, the creation of the first list of the wonders of the world is attributed to Herodotus, which was a famous Greek historian in the ages of 484 BC to 425 BC, and the Callimachus of Cyrene, which was the chief of the Library of Alexandria in 305 to 240 BC. However, it's also believed that this traditional list was also made by Philo of Byzanti- Byzantium and written on his work on the Seven Wonders in 225 BC. Finally, around 140 BC, Antipater of Sidon compiled a later version of the list describing the structures in a poem. The monuments mentioned in these lists were inspired by mythology, religion, and art of the ancient Greek great civilizations of the world. The seven wonders of the ancient world reflected the ability of the men to change nature in order to build wonderful and beautiful structures which amaze and inspire people. It's believed that these constructions of classical antiquity were constructed since 2700 BC, but unfortunately, only one of the wonders still remain today, which is the pyramids of Giza, which are in Egypt. So we don't need to go through the list again, but we can quickly describe what they were in detail. So the remaining old wonders of the world, the Pyramid of Giza, also known as Khufu's Pyramid or the Pyramid of Khufu and the Pyramid of Cheops, is the oldest and largest of the three pyramids in the Giza necropolis. The Hanging Gardens of Babylon, which is located in Iraq. This is basically that the legend states that King Nebuchadnezzar, I definitely said that wrong, constructed the gardens to please his wife Amethyst. They were amazing terraces with beautiful flowers and trees around the palace of his and in the city of Babylon. The statue of Zeus, which is located in Olympia, which was in ancient Greece. This was a statue that was an ideal representation of the best classical Greek style. It was made by the famous sculptor Phidias of ivory with gold plating, and it was during several centuries that the most beautiful work of world art in the world was this. The Colossus of Rhodes, located in Rhodes, Greece. This wonder was located on the Greek island of Rhodes and was a giant statue of bronze that represented the god Helios, which was constructed in the 3rd century BC. The Lighthouse of Alexandria, located in Egypt, was located on the island of Pharos in front of the coastline, and the lighthouse served to guide the sailors, and it was one of the highest buildings of the world at that point. The Mausoleum of Mausoleus, located in Bodrum, Turkey. This is the famous tomb of the king Mausoleus of Halicarnassus, known as the Mausoleum of Masolo, which served as the tomb for the king and his wife, and it was constructed by four of the most important artists of their time. And last but not least, the Temple of Artemis, located in Izmir, Turkey. This wonder was known as the Temple of Diana and was located in Ephesus, an ancient Greek city around 50 kilometers away from the actual city of Izmir in modern day Turkey.
So, why are there only seven wonders? The seven wonders we know today are a compilation of all the different lists from antiquity. The best known versions come from the 2nd century BC poet Antipater of Sidon and mathematician Philo of Byzantium. But other names include Callimachus of Cyrene and the great historian Herodotus. What made their list relied on where they traveled and, of course, their personal opinion. So while we recognize the Lighthouse of Alexandria as a wonder today, some left it out, favoring the Ishtar Gate of Babylon instead. But why are there only seven? Despite a plethora of structures and statues in the ancient world worthy of inclusion, there have only ever been seven wonders. The Greeks chose this number as they believed it held spiritual significance and represented perfection. This may be as it was the number of the five known planets at the time, plus the sun and moon, which is why we have the 7 days of the week named as they are, if you didn't know that. Um, and another question about the seven wonders, considering all but one are long lost or destroyed, may be what exactly are they? So, why are the seven wonders of the ancient world important? These remarkable structures represent the pinnacle of human achievement in the ancient world. They showcase technological innovation, cultural values, and artistic excellence of early civilizations. Historian Bettany Hughes believes their true nature are bold declarations of power and ambition. In her 2024 book, The Seven Wonders of the Ancient World, An Extraordinary Journey Through History's Greatest Treasures, Hughes discussed the politics, poetry, and propaganda behind these wonders. She noted that these weren't just impressive buildings and sculptures, they were bold declarations of power, a kind of Hellenistic highlight reel that reflected the ambition and reach of Alexander the Great's world. She shared how the Great Pyramid, a resurrection machine for the pharaoh, showcased human ingenuity and engineering prowess, while the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, shrouded in mystery, may have been a poetic misunderstanding symbolizing humanity's growing control over nature. She also wrote how wonders serve a rich triple purpose. They were constructed partly to feed our need for wondrous tales, to experience and talk about the biggest, the best, the tallest, the most strange, the most bold. They encourage a saturation in the now by submitting to a present, pure sensation of wonder. They remind us of our overwhelming desire to collaborate to create beyond the possibilities of the individual. Even though most have disappeared, their legacy continues to inspire architects, historians, and travelers. Seven Wonders of the Ancient World facts help us understand our past and appreciate the remarkable capabilities of ancient peoples working without modern tools or technologies. Once you start asking questions like, why do we still study the seven wonders today, you end up somewhere interesting because it turns out we never really stopped making them. In fact, we've made a new one.
Yes. So going back to what I said before, we made new wonders of the world. In 2007, the New Seven Wonders Foundation held a contest to name the new seven wonders of the world. Given that the original seven have all disappeared except for the pyramids of Giza, and it was compiled in the second century BCE, it was time for an update. So tens of millions of people voted for the UNESCO World Heritage Sites, and they span four continents as well as attract thousands of tourists every year. So the first is the Great Wall of China. So this is one of the world's largest building construction projects, and the Great Wall of China is thought to be about 5,500 miles long. Even though it is disputed, some claim that the length is 13,000 miles. But either way, work began in the 7th century BCE and continued for 2 millennia. Although it's a wall, the structure actually features two parallel walls for lengthy stretches. In addition, watchtowers and barracks dot the bull rock. One not so great thing about the wall, however, is its effectiveness. Although it was built to prevent invasions and raids, the wall largely failed to provide actual security, and instead, scholars have noted that it served more as political propaganda. Again, these are all beliefs, nothing that we are sharing with our own opinion. This was just research that we found. Next is the Chichen Itza, which was built in the times depend and vary, but anywhere between the 5th and 13th century AD is where it's said to have been built. So it's a Mayan city on the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico, which flourished in the 9th and 10th centuries. And under the Mayan tribe Itza, who were strongly influenced by the Toltecs, a number of important monuments and temples were built. And the most notable were the pyramid that people often visit currently, El Castillo, which rises 79 feet, um, and it's above the main plaza in Mexico. So this is basically a testament to the Mayans' astronomical abilities. The structures features a total of 365 steps, the number of days in a solar year, and during the spring and autumnal equinoxes, the setting sun casts shadows on the pyramid, which gives the appearance of a serpent slithering down the north stairway, and at the base is a stone snakehead. Um, Life there was not all work and science, though. Chichen Itza is home to the largest Tlactli, I can't say that, which is a type of sporting field in the Americas. And on that field, residents would play a ritual ball game, which was popular throughout the pre Columbian Mesoamerica. And then I'll do this one, and then Elle can do the next four. Um, the next one was Petra, which is the ancient city in Jordan, which is located in a remote valley nestled among sandstone mountains and cliffs. It was purported to be one of the places where Moses struck a rock and water gushed forward. Later, the Nabateans, an Arab tribe, made it to their capital, and during this time it flourished, becoming an important trade center, especially for spices. Noted carvers, the Nabateans chiseled dwellings, temples, and tombs into the sandstone, which changed color with the shifting sun. In addition, they constructed a water system that would allow for lush gardens and farming, and at its peak, Petra reportedly had a population of 30,000, but the city began to decline as trade routes shifted. A major earthquake in 363 CE caused more difficulty, and after another tremor hit in 551, Petra was gradually abandoned. Although discovered in the 20th century, it was largely ignored by archaeologists until later in the 20th centuries, and a lot of questions still remain about the city.
So I think the next few are probably, aside from the pyramids, the ones that are like most known. I feel like a lot of people hear seven wonders and they can't name all seven, but I think they usually can get about five of them. So the next one is Machu Picchu, which was built mid 15th century roughly. There's not really an exact date because it was claimed to be rediscovered. I don't think it ever actually disappeared. I think that it was just hidden from the Western world. But this Incan site near Cusco, Peru, was discovered in 1911 by Hiram Bingham, who believed it was Vilcabamba, a secret Incan stronghold used during the 16th century rebellion against Spanish rule. Although that claim was later disproved, the purpose of Machu Picchu has confounded scholars. Bingham believed it was home to the Virgins of the Sun, women who lived in covenants under a vow of chastity. Others think that it was likely a pilgrimage site, while some believe it was a royal retreat. One thing it apparently should not be is the site of a beer commercial. In 2000, a crane being used for such an ad fell and cracked a monument. I did not know that. Why? What is known is that Machu Picchu is one of the few major pre-Columbian ruins found nearly intact despite its relative isolation high in the Andes Mountains. It features agricultural terraces, plazas, residential areas, and temples. Next is Christ the Redeemer, which was built from 1926 to 1931. Christ the Redeemer, a colossal statue of Jesus, stands atop Mount Corcovado in Rio de Janeiro. This Wow. Its origins date to just after World War I, when some Brazilians feared a tide of godlessness. They proposed a statue which was ultimately designed by Heitor da Silva Costa, Carlos Oswald, and Paul Landowski. Construction began in 1926 and was completed 5 years later. The resulting monument stands 98 feet tall, not including its base, which is about 26 feet high, and its outstretched arms span 92 feet. It is the largest Art Deco sculpture in the world. Christ the Redeemer is made of reinforced concrete and is covered in approximately 6 million tiles. Somewhat disconcertingly, the statue has often been struck by lightning, and in 2014, the tip of Jesus's right thumb was damaged during a storm. That is interesting. I guess if you have something that large, it's gonna be a target for lightning, though. Then we have the Colosseum, which was built between 72 and 82 AD. The Colosseum in Rome was built in the first century by the order of Emperor Vespasian, a feat of engineering. The amphitheater measures 620 by 513 feet and features a complex system of vaults. It was capable of holding 50,000 spectators who watched a variety of events. Perhaps most notable were gladiator fights, though men battling animals was also common. In addition, water was sometimes pumped into the Colosseum for mock naval engagements. However, the belief that Christians were martyred there, namely by being thrown to lions, is debated. According to some estimates, about 500,000 people died in the Colosseum. Additionally, so many animals were captured and then killed there that certain species reportedly became extinct. And then we have the Taj Mahal, which was built between 1632 and 1648 AD. This mausoleum complex in Agra, India, is regarded as one of the world's most iconic monuments and is perhaps the finest example of Mughal architecture. It was built by Emperor Shah Jahan, who reigned from 1628 to 58, to honor his wife, Mumtaz Mahal, chosen one of the palace, who died in 1631, giving birth to their 14th child. Oh, that's a lot of kids. I mean, for the time, I understand, but that's a lot of kids. It took about 22 years and 20,000 workers to construct the complex, which includes an immense garden with a reflecting pool. The mausoleum is made of white marble that features semi-precious stones in geometric and floral patterns. Its majestic central dome is surrounded by four smaller domes. According to some reports, Shah Jahan wished to have his own mausoleum made out of black marble. However, he was deposed by one of his sons before any work began.
So that was pretty much the history and the spiritual significance of the seven wonders of the world. Obviously, the new wonders, they were selected recently, so we don't really have any insight into all of their spiritual significance, but I definitely think
Obviously, there's some that like
yeah,
is pretty apparent, like
right.
Christ the
And then,
Redeemer, there's obvious spiritual significance there, whether
right,
it's witchy or religious, that's.
up to the individual.
Yeah.
But yeah, quick little episode, but it's not over yet. We still need to get through astrology, almanac, and tarot time.
So today, Mercury and Gemini will sextile Mars and Leo, making it a great time to take action with an idea or plan you have been working on. Put your focus into something you can finish fast with the energy you have. Tomorrow, the moon will enter Scorpio, which means energy will intensify and you will feel the need to dig deep into your emotions. On the 8th, Mercury will enter Cancer. The planet of mental energy and communication will stay in the sign of emotion over the next few weeks, which will help you to better articulate your feelings. It may be time to have deep conversations with those closest to you about your feelings. This is also a good time to work on a project with your family. Then on the 9th, Jupiter will be joining Mercury in the sign of Cancer. This is a new era and cycle for Jupiter, which will play out over the next year. This is a time for expansive thinking and using your emotions to build something positive. Finally, on the 11th, we have a full moon in Sagittarius. This full moon will feel more lighthearted than others since Sagittarius tends to be a playful sign. Use this full moon to evaluate if your beliefs align with your passions, and if they don't, it may be time to walk away from what isn't bringing you joy and start a new journey towards happiness. Now is the perfect time to remove blocks and focus on positive energy to work towards your passions.
That's tea. Love to hear it. Now it's time for the first tarot of the semester. Why did I just say semester? Jesus, we're not in school. The season, guys, the season.
All right, what is the collective? Okay, well, I started to shuffle, but then it said, here you go. We have the Seven of Cups. Okay, maybe. The Seven of Cups. Close enough. It's too close to the color of our background. I'll have to keep that in mind for next time. But the Seven of Cups is about indecision. It's about having all of these choices laid out in front of you and not knowing which one to take, what's in your best interest, which I think very much so goes in alignment with this Sagittarius full moon that'll be coming up, really reevaluating your beliefs and if it aligns with your passions. And if it doesn't align with your passions, maybe you need to be taking one of those other choices off the shelf and say goodbye to the old ones. But it's definitely a time where you have multiple doors open in front of you, and it's kind of just you have to pick what feels right, let yourself be guided by your intuition, and not overwhelmed by anxiety.
The cards don't lie. And if you guys have learned anything from the past 5 seasons, I mean, the astrology almanac and the tarot just like lines up every single time. So you don't get it once, you
Right.
get it twice.
In case you weren't paying attention during the astrology almanac, the cards are here to read you to filth as well.
Exactly. I don't remember what order we do it in, but either way, you're still getting read to filth each time. But anyway, that is all for today's episode. Thank you guys for tuning in to Sister Sister, a podcast for spiritual baddies, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.